Speaking of listening, so you sent me a video earlier
Hmm.
today, and you told me to take a look at it. Now listen, and I'm going to tell you, it was a very touching video, and I kind of want you, if you don't mind, I want you to kind of share your story with us when it comes down to PTSD awareness.
So I'll tell you right now, I believe that just like many of us that have been through, many deployments, many issues, dealing with the loss of friends, of soldiers, the stresses of deploying, everything else, being in combat and seeing things that that's happening. However, there's no training per se that is get you ready to what you're about to see and about to smell and about to feel. Um, I think the beginning of my career and after the several deployments and knowing how the army was at that time, it was impossible for go out there and seek help for what I was feeling. That was simple fact. If you know, and I'm pretty sure you understand this, back in the days, if you have any issues with mental health, clearance would stop and they take you out of position. And I mean, mess around, you cannot have a rifle going to range, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have quite an understanding. And I'll tell you what bothered me the most because I know I was having these issues. You become most distance from your family. You get more distance from your friends. You rely on staying work longer, right? Not because you got something to do, it because that is your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That is where you feel. So on that process of staying longer at work, your family suffers, your relation suffers, your kids suffers, right? And then it's a cycle that is never ending. Happened that of course, times have been changing. That I guess being user friendly, I guess you may call it, for those that have some mental issues, but it was still not quite there. So here I am, as a first sergeant, sitting on meetings and talking about soldiers with issues, and everything that I hear about what soldiers are going through, I'm thinking that's me, man.
Mm.
That is me. I think the culminating event was when I was in the academy, and one of my roommates happened to come to my. We live in this apartment and share rooms within this apartment, and he came to me, man, and he said, "Don't leave me alone." And at that point, I didn't understand where he was coming from. I didn't quite. I didn't understand what he was saying. But when I sat down with him and he told me that he was about to take his life, and I started listening to him, and we talked for, I lied to you, about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Not straight 3 hours, brother. And it was like I was talking to myself.
Yeah.
It was just incredible to listen to someone and feel exactly what they were feeling.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, we are. I'm not sure you felt like this before. Sometimes we are good telling people what they need to do to help themselves, but we don't help ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it came to a moment in time, man, that after that, and I finished the academy, and I felt a lot of things was going in my life, and I felt I need help, man. I need help. And I went to get help. But not only I went to get help, and it still was a shush, right? Hey, sorry, I'm getting counseling, but it was real down low. We don't want nothing to.
Right. Right.
And one of my PAOs, brigade, said, she said, I just want to do we was doing, she want to do a report on Hispanics, how they do every month or whatever.
Right.
I'm not into that business, right? However, I would like to tell my story.
Yeah.
And I'm telling this thing, I told my story, and next, the Army picked it up, and I just felt the necessity as a senior NCO to say it's okay to have problems.
Yeah.
It's okay to seek help.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel like the way you feel. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about the percent of people that serving in the Army, and then on top of that, the percent of people that actually see combat and go to the combat issues, and you lose friends and you lose soldiers, the percentages go lower and lower, right? And if I, again, going back to my whole way of life is, I need to help somebody, man.
Yeah.
And I know if they see a sergeant major out there in front saying I got problems and I'm seeking for help, somebody within that formation is going to lean forward now, recognize they have problems and it's okay.
Absolutely.
So that is my I guess the way everything started. And after that video was produced, I was getting like hundreds of texts, emails to Facebook and Twitter and everything in between. And it was good to know that people were out there recognizing themselves, they needed help. And it brought some joy, man, because that regardless, you put yourself out there. And believe me when I tell you, when I did that video, I didn't tell my brigade command. I didn't tell no one. I just did my own thing, right?
Yeah.
You can hear, hey, man, maybe this, in between lines, they were saying something. Well, that made like good because, and I'm like, listen, it's okay. If you don't feel, I'm super comfortable putting myself out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I know who I am. I know what I'm all about. I know what I need to do in order to improve. So I'm okay with what I did.
Yeah.
So even at that level, it's a stigma associated with this. Right. And that's what my purpose, man. Not only that I knew that I needed help, but I knew that doing a video of a command sergeant major saying it and showing emotions within the video, I know for a fact that was going to help some people.
Yeah.
And that was my main purpose of doing that video, man.
Man, let me tell you, I'm gonna commend you because number one, that's brave. That's definitely a display of courage to put yourself out there like that. And for the sake of others, with the idea and the hope that it will kind of give others the permission to admit that they need help. Because I'm in the same category. The same thing happened to me, not necessarily in that particular fashion. Mine was a different trend of circumstances. Obviously, when doing our deployments, we deployed at the same with the same unit, but I was forward with 110 Cap. And when we came back, they did not have a plan for this whole PTSD thing, so they sent me out to Harker Heights, and I actually had an appointment that I would go every month, and it took me a total of 4 visits before she told them I need to see him again because he's not talking to me. So I didn't start talking to her about around my 6th visit. Fast forward, 8th visit, the session stopped for whatever reason. Like, no more sessions. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then Army career progresses, a couple more deployments go on, some of the same thing, friends, end up losing their life in one situation or another. One of my best friends, he drowned in the Tigris River, like literally the day before we are to redeploy. A number of different things. And man, it just came down to it. There was a situation, and no lie, situation kind of got heated. I don't remember nothing. Next thing you know, when I came back to my aunt, my cousins, they're holding me and, whatever the case may be. I did not know what took place in between here and there. Yeah. And so one of my aunt's girlfriends, she said, you need to go see somebody. And that was the first time I was like, okay, because I did not like not knowing what was going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
absolutely.
It was a lot of stuff. So I started seeing counseling. And I don't know if you remember Antoine Fisher, the movie.
Yes.
So remember when he started going to see Denzel and he went to see his 3 visits. And then at the end of his 3 visits, he started acting out. That was this guy. When my counselor found out that I was retiring, he said, well, I got to stop seeing you now because the VA is going to assign you a counselor. And I remember, it didn't dawn on me then, but later on, I had to laugh at myself because I remember it's like, oh my God, like I didn't realize it was like that.
Right.
So over the course of time, and it's significant. It's significant. But again, I don't want to take away from your story because your story is amazing.
No. I believe I said, and I'll tell you earlier, right? I think the difference between my story and everyone else is that I just happen to have a video, right? But it's 1,000 of us out there in the same dilemma, and I think it's important to know that and that's what I tell a lot of people. This is I still get counseling from the VA, right?
Yeah.
Still seeing counseling. because people have to understand. People don't understand that once you go to a process of what we've been through and what we've seen, it's something not normal,
No.
right? It's not normal. So a normal approach is no longer valid, right?
Right.
So we have to have, and I tell this to my counselor all the time, is just checking balances, right? You have to keep me within my left and right limits, because it's easy to get into that dark side. It's easy to split over to whatever, and I find myself, and again, and I catch myself, but then again, I understand where I came from,
Yeah.
and no longer I feel sorry for myself.
There you go.
However, I fully understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint,
It's not a
right?
sprint. Yeah.
And it's going to take people, and it's good to tell a story, because not only people understand sometimes the way you act in certain scenarios or situations, but more than anything is to give the opportunity to people understand
Right.
that it's you need help, man.
Yeah.
And I think that I got many friends that I had either taken their life, right? And you go back and you think that they ain't show no signs, but the signs are there if you dig deep enough, right?
Right.
And sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes it's too late to recognize those signs, and we lose some lives.
That's right.
But when I saw my friend, I'm like you. I now I understand. Now I talk about it, and it's okay. It's okay, because now I learned that this is me now.
Yeah.
This is me now, and this is something that I need to learn how to live with. I need to adjust, and in order to stay, within this earth, man, and do productive things, and you always find, there's a reason behind everything, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm a firm believer. There's a reason behind anything, but like I said, your story and what you've been through.
Yeah.
It's as important, and I think it's great to share it, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just don't say, people don't know.
Yeah.
And it's good to voice that. It's good to know that, because I think that just like I did, and that I, of course, put myself out there in this video, so people hear you talking, that trust you, that know you, right? And they're gonna be telling you, man. I have friends that they didn't even know how even to get counseling, like how I go by this,
Yeah.
that far along they are, and so here I am trying to explain to them. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen to you when somebody hears it, because they trust you, right?
Yeah.
They trust you as a friend, they trust you as a leader, they trust you as a mentor, a co-worker, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And they know that you're now steering wrong, and hearing you, hey, I regardless, because you have, again, what you were saying, when you think you hear this crazy sergeant major and talking formation and full of energy and everything else, don't think that I don't have feelings, or I go through the issues the same thing as you do. I'm a regular guy. I happen to be blessed and that being in a position to be, promoted to sergeant major, but it doesn't make a difference. My things I go through, you can have a young E5 that got out of the army and is struggling right now because he never got help. So that's what it's all about, man. The story is indifferent to what the rank you have. I just think that I needed to do that to try to help people out, man. And of course, help myself out in the process.
Of course,
but it's great to be able to have an impact on people that you don't even know, man.
Yeah, no, that's great. And again, I just want to thank you for just, bringing it here. Because again, I think you're 100% correct. The more that people hear it, the more it gives them permission, the more they feel more comfortable telling their story, hearing two adult men here.
Absolutely,
men don't share feelings.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
When you have two grown men who admit that they've had a problem, that they've been masking for years, then that kind of paints a whole picture. And here's the thing I say a lot, men, we suffer differently. Right? We don't make a whole lot of noise. We're not flaming, and I'm not saying that this applies to anyone else, right? But we don't make a whole lot of noise. We don't get a whole lot of attention. We go sit in the corner and make it look like we're doing something productive, and we're suffering in silence. That's what we do. And so we've just found a way to where it makes someone else look like we're just going about business as usual. But on the inside, we're suffering. And just being able to have these conversations and get around like-minded individuals so that we can share our stories with one another. Just being able to share our stories together helps each other. And I think
Absolutely.
that's key. It's the same concept of any other support group that you're going to find out there. And support groups are good. It's really a different form of community. And community is healthy as long as we